Now we're just excited to be live, right? Okay, I think we are live now. And I'm so happy to be here with Cayce, Howe. I'm saying that correctly?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy
Yes,
to be here.
and I'm going to click this so we pay attention to the time because I like to allow 30 minutes for this exchange, but it's easy to go longer because there's so much we could talk about, I'm sure. But thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
And you're one of the first people, actually the first person that I've done one of these interviews with that I actually hadn't met you yet.
Oh, right.
So,
We
yeah,
met
and I like
10 minutes ago.
Right, exactly. So we met 10 minutes ago. And you're also a Long Beach resident, it turns out, though. We're so close geographically.
I can walk here
Yeah.
in minutes.
Although you didn't, because you came from doing something pretty cool with your meditation work. You were telling me, helping at a mental health facility.
I work at a couple of mental health facilities in Orange County, mostly focused around depression and anxiety. So it's just wonderful. I've been there for about 5 years doing that work in Orange County. Wow. And it's wonderful that we have all the science now behind meditation and whatnot, and that we're allowed in to teach these different modalities in that setting. And it's really incredible the fruition of the practice. And I really have a kinship and an intimacy with people that are suffering, in that I almost, I prefer, to teach people that are suffering in some way because we're highly motivated for practice. I think this is one interesting part about Buddha, the first noble truth, that there is suffering.
Right.
And it's like a motivation tool, like, hey, let's wake up. Like, there's suffering. And if we wake up to that, then we start the work, And there's some of the most beautiful, amazing, dedicated practitioners that I've ever met. There's nothing like suffering. I know in my own practice too. When I'm suffering, I'm an amazing yogi. Like I practice all the time, right? Because we really need it. When life is good, I had this one, Tibetan nun teacher. She would call it good samsara. Like when we were having good samsara, no need to practice. Right? Because life is good. We can almost get away thinking that this is just all right. Like suffering is not really apparent in here. Like food is good, shelter good, but are we really practicing so when things are not so good? Because there's going to be unsatisfactory times. We know that. We don't know when. And so if we keep up our practice when times are good, when we're having good samsara, a good time to practice. Right? Because then we can start getting strength in our practice and rooted in our practice.
Wow.
And then when things are not so good, we have it. But the tendency is that when things go good, no practice.
Right. Isn't that so true? That's when we fall off the wagon somehow and then wonder why we wind up maybe back in more suffering, perhaps. Right? But then that invites us back into our practices, right?
It does.
Which is kind of the beauty of it. So I love that. It's like the foundation that there is suffering, there's going to be suffering, and the practices are here to help with that, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Just that awareness. And do you feel like you notice a real difference in the momentum of things like the depression and anxiety with some of the people you're working with at these facilities? Do they report that they're noticing some differences in their experience anyways as they...
It's just all you need.
Right?
So I think, the beauty of it is to recognize how lucky we are that we can practice.
Right.
Because sometimes, in case of either depression or anxiety, sometimes it's just too heavy.
Right.
Sometimes we can't.
Right.
And so, it might be a good time for prayer or something. Sometimes I just pray with people like, hey, can we lift enough of this just so we can practice? So we can get to the point of practice.
Wow. Yeah.
And of course, if somebody is in a space that they can practice, there's definitely going to be results for sure. And sometimes there's just no motivation, and I think this is so important when we look at our availability of practice. If we have motivation, if we've heard about inner happiness, like sustainable, reliable happiness, right, that we could find inside, because nothing outside that's going to be sustainable and reliable, right? Because everything is interdependent and in flux and impermanent. So even if everything comes together harmoniously,
right,
we don't know for how much longer, right? So we can't depend on that.
yeah.
So if we heard about this, and we've learned about these inner resource tools that we could do ourselves, like this is unbelievable, right? But then if we have the body and mind that is well enough to practice, this is even more rare, right? And then to actually do the practice.
Wow.
So it's like this, like looking at the suffering like head on, like the depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, of course, everyone wants to feel better.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to feel better. Everyone has compassion for themselves. But sometimes the body-mind is just not available. So if it is, practice, practice.
Yeah.
You know, if we have a moment of like, wow, I have a body and mind that can practice in this moment. That's incredibly rare. Right? I could be cognizant that my mind is wandering away into rehearsing, rehashing, and I can come back right here in this moment, feel into my body, into my breath, into my heart, in this moment. That is so incredibly precious. It's a rare opportunity.
Yeah, I love it. It feels like that sounds like a lot like gratitude and appreciation, right? That you're helping bring in to the practice without even necessarily calling it that.
Yeah,
but
it is.
That's
it's a gratitude practice.
Lifter. So I love how you weave that in as such a foundation. Just the beauty of being alive, right? And having the privilege.
It's a motivational foundation.
Yeah.
To recognize how rare it is, you know, is motivational foundation. Because it's like, there's no before and after picture for meditation. There's nothing you can post on Instagram or Facebook.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you have to really want it within yourself.
Yeah.
That goes back to the suffering. Like you want to relieve the suffering or just recognize, wow, what a gift that I've been given. Most people in this world today will not be able to have a chance to practice meditation. That's like a total luxury.
Wow.
Right.
I love that perspective. That's
just
so helpful.
Survive.
That's so helpful for all of us that wherever we're at in the spectrum to remember it's really just a privilege to be even having these conversations, right?
Yeah.
To have this be part of our lifestyle, or even but it's just a privilege to be in the space that we can make it part of our lives, right? And I love all the compassion and connectedness in the way that you're bringing it through. Yeah. And I feel like I want to ask about because I noticed one person mentioned they heard about you had lived in retreat centers for many years as part of your experience. And someone mentioned, oh, that sounds wonderful. Like how much a part of your embodiment of all of this has that been? I feel like it must be noteworthy for you to mention it, right? And so I'm just curious, like, how do you feel like that time and that experience and that privilege even, or choice, right? I'm sure it didn't just happen to you, right? It was something that you decided. How much has that been part of your embodiment of all of this?
Yeah, I think it was big. And ultimately, I went into that situation because I had practiced by that point maybe 10 years, and like all of us, were busy, and I was working full time in a relationship and trying to practice, and I was going to school and waking up tired and trying to meditate and do all this stuff, trying to go on retreats, and it was hard. It was really hard to prioritize my practice. And it was a big decision. I owned a home at the time. I had a good career. I was in a relationship at that time for 14 years with my high school sweetheart. And I left everything. I left the job, sold the house.
Wow, yeah.
We broke up, left the dog and the cat, and everything, you know, because it was one of those things where I just felt like I really feel like this is our human potential, it rests within. Like I have to prioritize it. And about that embodiment, I was reading, I was insatiable reader, seeker, and all this stuff, and I'm like, well, when is it gonna happen to me, right? And how am I gonna prioritize that? Now I'll kind of cut to the chase here and say that after I lived at these places, I realized I never had to leave. I got the tools, and I said, I could do that back in that life. I couldn't access it. I just didn't know, right? And so, having a dedicated time surrounding environment, all of that support for a daily practice.
Yeah.
So that was huge to be able to incorporate, and I believe the most beneficial thing we could do for ourselves is to go on retreat. You know, it could be a day retreat, a half-day retreat, a 10-day, a 3-month, a year. In Tibetan tradition, a 3-year, 3-month, 3-day is a very common one. Yeah, because then we can really just have full support to turn inward.
Yeah, that sounds. I didn't even realize how much that's prescribed as part of our transformation by Sun traditions, the actual retreat experience. So that's cool to hear about. But then I love that you mentioned also that you knew you didn't have to leave your life in order to do that. But I'm sure we're also fortunate that you did, right? Because you got a chance to fill yourself up and really become the expert and really just ready to share at this time, right? When I feel like maybe more people than ever have the privilege and are in the position of suffering too, and the awareness of the suffering, right? That it's an exciting time to be bringing something like meditation through. And, and I feel like I get the sense that you have a very universal, practical, and even simple approach with how you seem to be delivering, just in what I've caught up in your content online and such. Do those words at all resonate with how you feel like you like to deliver your?
I just feel personally I'm very simple and very logical based. And I think part of my experience, I'm studying a lot of different traditions. For 2 years I lived at the lineage of Paramahansa Yogananda, one of their centers, and then for 4 years I lived in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, all here in the States. It wasn't like in Tibet or nothing, I lean more towards Buddhism just as a way to kind of word these things. And Buddhism is very simple. I mean, it can be very elaborate too, especially like the Raja Yoga and Tantrayana practices and the different Tibetan traditions. But it's very, very simple. Like the Dalai Lama says, Buddhism is 90% psychology. So it doesn't need to be all that, right? It could be just extremely simple. And if we can't access this right here, right now, in our words, in our life, and in this day, then what use is it, right? So we can go on and on about the different languages and different practices that are very elaborate and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it needs to happen right here. It needs to happen in your life. Right? And so like Thich Nhat Hanh would say, like, what's your Buddhism? What is your Buddhism? Like your own personal Buddhism. Or, what is your own practice? It has to be yours. If it's not yours, it's not going to work. It doesn't matter if you're doing an ancient Tibetan chant, as long as you resonate with it. It's yours. So it's so important. And also, too, this faith that comes that I'm my own teacher. All the good teachers will say you're the teacher. And we sometimes forget in this endless seeking mind, which I know very intimately, like seeking. And there's no book, no teacher, no course, no class that's going to teach you about you. They're all pointers, right? But then we're the ones that need to go within, and we know. I mean, that's how simple it is. It's like, how do we know self? I'm myself. I'm myself. So this is how simple it is. Like to know yourself. I'm myself. How do I know myself? Well, I'm with myself, right? There's no dogma or anything that could tell us about us. Right? This is a big subtraction problem, I say. It's not addition. We're into this society of addition, right? I'm gonna get more and grab more and learn more and more, and then I'm gonna arrive. It's a big subtraction problem. This is the great non-doing. Right? It's not non-doing. It's so counterintuitive.
Right.
We don't know how to not do to get to somewhere. How do we not do? How do we go nowhere to get to somewhere? We can't comprehend that, and that's the whole point. To get out of the head.
To get out of
the head. Like we're already here. We've arrived long ago. So just waking up to that simplicity, that it's all here, nowhere to go, nothing to do. Recognize self as self. This is it. Very simple.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do the best that I can, and then also too, it just depends, who we're chatting with. Yeah.
Right. It sounds like you're always really ready to meet people where they're at, whether you're working with someone individually or even the group. I can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so important. Obviously, I teach mostly in secular platforms, clinics and medical and health and whatnot. And we have a wonderful Sunday sit here in Long Beach at Sacred Roots. So we're here every day, 10 to 11:30.
Really?
Yeah, I mean not every day. I'm sorry, every Sunday.
Every Sunday, yeah.
Every Sunday, 10 to 11:30.
Yeah.
And that way we could unpack more of Dharma and more of these more different teachings. That again, at their root, it's just self. Right? It's very, very simple. But we do unpack more traditional practices there as well.
Okay. And so when you get a chance to officially teach, do you like to do kind of a combo of talking about meditation and then actually taking people into meditation? Okay, I was getting a sense of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how much time we have.
Right.
But I think that in a weird way to say this is that meditation is a bit overrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, because meditation has been taught within a system for thousands of years. So this system needs to be, or this meditation needs to be supported by a lot of different other factors. Right? So a lot of people come to a class or do an app, app meditation, which is totally fine, but it may be difficult to have a sustainable practice along with a lot of longevity.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of different aspects that need to go into supporting that practice. They say the Buddha taught 84,000 teachings, but he only taught one thing. He only taught non-grasping mind. That was it. But 84,000 teachings, I don't know who was counting, supported that. I mean, that's how much support we have. We all know what to do. Let go, let be here now. I mean, this has been the same talk.
Right.
There's nothing new.
So we can intellectualize about it all.
Yeah, forever, right? Yeah. But we all need these individual supports for that. How do we get to that place of non-grasping mind? Is it the heart? Is it ethics? Is it concentration? Is it motivation? Is it intention? There's all these different flavors, and then once we go into the mind, this is a big, big place. I mean, a lot of it, we're just trying to get to the cushion. Most people are just trying to get to the cushion, just trying to practice. So there's a whole slew of ways to motivate people to keep pointing. This is where it is. It's not out there. This is where it is. It's not out there. This is where it is. Not out there. And pointing why. Pointing out. It's like the rock star. You can have all the fame, all the sex, all the money and everything, but why aren't they all saying this is it?
Yeah, right.
All right, so we point out that all the time just to get to the cushion. And then once we move into our own mind, now this is where the real work begins. Like how do we have a stable mind? Lots of teachings there. Yeah. So yes, if I'm in a course, we have to teach the system. Yeah. Right. If we have 15 minutes, we just meditate. Yeah. And then we garner that experience, try to connect with that space, within us. But yeah, if we're in any kind of training situation or anything like this, we definitely have to start getting that support. So when people move into meditation, they can have a stable experience.
So, do you have some favorite forms of support you like to recommend to people to start to build into their experience and their practice? If it can be seen like that, like if we can become aware that the support is helpful, like if study is one of them, to make sure you're doing certain types of study, or I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite reminder, and I think this is because this piece has been kind of lost a little bit, and it's that of devotion and love and devotion and its place in meditation. Again, these have been usually taught in a lineage form, usually from teacher to student, and there's an implicit devotion to the teacher.
Mm.
So there's already a cultivation of heart. So it's like fertile ground for the teaching to land on, right?
Wow.
And so sometimes in these practices, let's say if you're just meditating an app or whatnot, the heart isn't opened yet, you know, and it's not coming from this place of devotion to the path, to the lineage, to the teaching, and all this. And it doesn't have to be to a lineage or to a teacher, but without the heart being open, it's very hard to meet what is arising in the meditation. It's very difficult. We're asking ourselves such a very, very difficult thing to actually be with ourselves, with whatever might be coming up, the anger, the shame, the guilt, the, you know, any kind of the past, right? And we have to be able to hold that in a responsible way and for long enough to see through it. You know, we have to hold that long enough to see the wisdom of it, the emptiness of it, so we could be free of it, right? And we could only go as far as our love will take us. In this love being this unconditional, so we say like mindfulness, paying attention to the present moment on purpose, non-judgmentally, right? So this would be like a very intellectual definition.
Right.
The heart is doing all of that already. The heart is allowing everything to be as it is, just as it is. In the heart, unconditional heart, you're just fine as you are. You have a place in the heart, right? In the heart, there's no judgment. And same with wisdom mind. In wisdom mind, just consciousness. Consciousness is not judging this poster or that tree, right? It's just as it is. So we need to merge those two. There's a lot of wisdom teaching here. There's a lot of head, a lot of intellectual, you know, and there's a lot of heart too. We need to merge those two. So I think that coming into the heart, coming into your practice, and it could be self-compassion, self-love, it could be gratitude. You know, when you move into the practice, open up your heart, and this softens the mind as well. You know, we ask the Tibetans, you know, point to the mind. They do that. And the bodhicitta practices, the heart practices, the bodhicitta practices. Bodhi, awake, chitta, mind, awakened mind. Bodhicitta practices in the West, we'll consider them all heart practices. But you look at the wording, they're saying mind. So when we purify the heart, we're purifying the mind, right? This is why ethics and conduct are so important. Right? If you spend all day nurturing service and kindness and generosity, then you sit down to meditate. Oh, the mind is at ease. Easy, right? Now the opposite, if we're angry and we're agitated, we sit down to meditate, not so easy. So that would be another big reminder about the system. You know, conduct is taught, ethics is taught as a pillar of meditation and support of meditation. So it was completely difficult to really have a stable mind without ethics.
But you made it so clear why. Because it's really like we have to face ourselves when we sit down to meditate, right? So then we have to face that conduct, right? And then we have to like find a way to make peace with it, right? So so to actually just be more conscious with our conduct is going to make that facing ourselves even better, right? Or just even more of a harmonious experience, right? It's just easier to feel that love and compassion that we're reconnecting with. So, I love though that you're bringing that up. It seems so timely too that we Westerners maybe especially get retuned to the importance of the heart in these practices, right? And we even got sirens to agree with us. But yeah, I really love that you're bringing through these teachings that I feel like are so important. Okay, I knew our 30 minutes would go quickly, so we have about 5 minutes.
Great.
Which is amazing. And I want to make sure we have time to talk about things that you might like to mention, because the reason I love to do these interviews is because I just love to, well, this time I get to meet you and help share you with the world, right? And so if people, as they watch this, want to keep following you and learning with you, and whether that's online or in person, why don't we make sure we have time for that right now? And then if we have a few minutes after, we'll
Yeah, I'd say the easiest way. So I teach individuals and I teach groups.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking for any kind of meditation assistance, I could definitely help with that. And the best way is Instagram. I think I do mostly on Instagram, but my name's spelled funny. So it's at Cayce Howe, Cayce HOWE. And then also, like I mentioned, if you're in the Long Beach area, we have a Sunday sit every Sunday at Sacred Roots. So if you Google Sacred Roots Holistic Healing or just Google Sacred Roots Long Beach, that's kind of our home base. And we teach Inside LA courses through there. I'm an Inside LA teacher. And also too, we're doing a teacher training, a meditation teacher training with some of, I'm most excited for when you're going to be held accountable for 180 days of intense practice. Yeah, we're meeting once a month, but we're keeping a meditation log every day. It's going to be really incredible in that sense. And I have brought on some of my favorite amazing friends and senior teachers in the Dharma world to teach with me. These are a lot of senior teachers at Inside LA, Spirit Rock. We have a former monk, used to be Benedictines in Namsel, but Scott Tusa is an incredible teacher. 2 teachers, myself included, authorized to teach in the Theravada Buddhist tradition. He's authorized to teach in the Tibetan tradition.
And will this be at Sacred Roots?
So this will be at Sacred Roots in Long Beach.
And when does this start?
And it starts in August.
Okay.
But if you just Google Sacred Roots and scroll on the home page of Sacred Roots, you'll see the application.
And is it
to get into the teacher training.
What day of the week will you be meeting for your
It'll be Saturdays.
Okay, nice.
The
I bet
first
there'll be
Saturday
information on that. That's exciting. I'd love to keep them.
And reach out to me. You could just direct message me on Instagram too. At Cayce Howe.
And you work with people online and live if they wanted to work with you individually?
Mostly over the phone.
Okay.
I don't even do Skype anymore.
You don't even have to do video, right? Because it's just more about voice.
I've been doing that for years, and it works really well because technology doesn't fail us.
Yes,
it's very easy.
And it kind of takes away the edginess of the video experience if there was that. And so will people just like put it on speakerphone and then be able to? For
the meditation parts, there's a speakerphone, and then of course it's all about that support, right? All about the system. So they're actually, I hold all my private clients accountable for their daily practice, and they're very much on a track for their daily practice. But we're not just sitting and meditating together. That would be a waste of their time, So we're meditating. Sounds funny to say that, but we meditate for a portion of the call, and just to kind of set the tone, and then we go to work. We go to work with what's going on and happening, and then how could we bring meditation, this big tool set? How could we meet it?
Yes. Well, that's exciting, and I know you also mentioned that you write poetry and that you're getting ready to release a book of poems.
Yeah. So if you go to my Instagram, a lot of those really pithy. Most of my poetry is more pointers, into self. They're really short, really pithy. I love that. More Zen, Dzogchen type of pointers. So you kind of get a feel for that, and then I have a book called Becoming Water. And it'll be out actually within the month. We're hoping. Fingers crossed.
What a great name. Actually, that's been what I've been thinking about is Becoming Water.
Becoming Water.
Okay, I want to stay posted on that. Are you going to do like a party or something for your book?
Yeah, it'll be good to have a launch party probably at Sacred Roots.
Okay, cool. I'll stay posted on that.
Cool.
So awesome. Gosh.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
And thank you so much if you're tuning in or watching this. Thank you very, very much. And hope to connect. Even just say hi. Just say hello. I like to make real connections on social media. Seriously, DM me. I'll DM people back, and we actually form an actual connection.
For sure, right?
Believe it or not.
I've made so many friends through social media, like good, close friends.
Totally.
And even you, I met you through social media, right? So,
we did.
so thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you all for being here with us. Appreciate your time and energy. It's a big deal. All right. Namaste.